structure efficiently and how we are going to organize to operate a different kind of application. So related to that, these are the content for the today's discussion. That is the static versus dynamic program checking, how we can statically and dynamically check the particular program content as well as their data type and the data value which is reside inside that data element. Then strong typing and type checking. There is a weak type and strong type of a data that we have to use when we write the code. That also we'll see in the discussion. Then there are different type conversion, type capability, type and subtype, generic type. Few are already you know, but few of the things are which is unknown to you, or we can say a new programming languages are there which use these important features. So we'll focus on that feature as well. So now we'll go into the program checking. So when you write any simple program, if I say the division 0 divided by 0 error program, or a very simple program which will perform addition of two number or division of two number, in that how we are going to check the error which is inside the program. So when a programmer write a program statement, that time he just write a certain line of code. At that time he not sure about whether he will get a correct output or not. Sometime he need to trace the value in the variable, whether we are getting this proper value in the variable or not. If you're not getting the proper value, then we have to make the modification in the program. That is called as a program checking. So program checking is a technique. When you write a program, that time we can check, or when we execute the program, that time we can check. Then there are different types of error that we face when we execute the program. So that error may be a syntactical error, that may be a logical error, or that may be some other error, that is the error raised by that compiler or error raised by the system. So this is the error type, that is language error and application error. Now we will see the language and applications error. So language error are the static and semantic. Static means when you write a program, then you make a mistake in a declaration, like a data type is missing, semicolon is missing, sometime value is incorrectly assigned. Like when I write an integer a of 10, the script is missing. So in such a case, we will get a static type of error and a semantic error. Semantic error is a data type is correct, a declaration is correct, but the statement whatever I write in the program, show you with the fantastic. So in a semantic error, suppose if I write the statement a is equal to 2, this is very valid statement in any programming language. If I write this statement equal equal, then also it is considerable for comparison. If I use this if and else block, in that I can write a double equal sign. But if I write a equal equal and equal is 3, whether this statement will execute any programming language? No, this statement will not going to execute in a compiler, because maximum 2 equal sign we can use in front of the variable. So if I use a 3 equal sign in any variable, then it is unreliable. So this is a semantic error. This is one of the error. There are so many errors that we can identify in a semantic case. Let it be another type of error in a dynamic programming. Suppose I have a node. That node consists of information, that is address and the data. So one node consists of two attributes. One is data, other is address. So data and the address. Suppose this address value is known to us, that is 100. Initially, I just select some value for that address. This is not an accurate value, but for understanding, I just use this 100 is used for this data. And now I want to print this data. So if I want to print this data, I can use, let's say in C programming, printf %d. And if I want to print only the data, I can use, let's say, node of data. Node of data. In similar way, can we print the address n of a? Can it will print the address? Anyone? Yes. Are you getting the problem statement? I want to identify the semantic error. If I use a 3 equal sign, then it won't allow in a programming. Similarly, I just create a node which consists of two attributes, data and address. Let it be this is the address 100 and certain value inside it. Let's say value is X. This is the, or no, we cannot use X because we use a %d. So let's say 10. 10 is a value that I store inside the node. If I use a printf %d n of d, n is nothing but a node and d is the data. So it will print the 10, it is correct. But similar way, if I use to print the address, printf %d n of a, can it will print the address? The line of code is very correct, but we won't get a correct. Yes, correct. No, we cannot get the address of the data. That type of error is called a semantic error. Why? Because this address is always in the hexadecimal, not in the integer format. So this kind of a stuff that we need to check in the error checking, which is a language errors that we have to find out in the program. So when you write the program, you have to consider these all issues, because it may give incorrect output, it may not give a correct result of your program. So this is related to the error in a language, that is syntax and semantics. And what are the application errors? So application error is a kind of a problem statement what we have. Let it be, I want to sort the numbers. I want to sort the number by using any sorting, sort, selection, sort, insertion, sort. And once I execute the program, I will not get the sorted error, sorted data. My problem statement, I want to sort the data. There is no mention technique are there. I can use any technique to sort the information. But once I execute the program, I get the input numbers from user, and at the end, I will not get the sorted data. So that type of error is called as application error. So whatever the input we consider will not give a proper output. So input and output is mismatched. That type of error is called as an application type of error. So this is I explain. And now what are the advantages to check this syntax static checking? If I not check this static checking initially, what will happen? For example, for static checking, if I write a statement integer a equal to like this, whether it is allowable statement, इसे लिख सकते हैं क्या हम प्रोग्रामिंग में? Yes, anyone? Just give the answer, either it is correct or incorrect, so that I can understand whether you have been involved in the session or not.
Correct, sir.
This is correct. So all agree with
Yes, sir.
me, it is correct. So when you write this statement in programming, what is the meaning of this statement? I think it is incorrect. I just give the explanation about that. It is an first one is the row. First one is the row and the second one is the column. First one is the row and second one is the columns. So how many row we can use? For example, I have not mentioned the size. If you're talking specifically about the C programming, these are the rows that I create. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As per the compiler design of C programming, we can create n number of rows. But what about the columns? Now this is the first column. This is the first column, second column, third column, and so on. So we have to restrict the user that number of columns. We can add the number of rows, but we have to restrict the column. Like if you consider a database, if you have a database, if I don't know the attributes, there is not possible to design a table. Suppose I have a student database, and in student database, I have 3 columns: student name, student address, student phone number. If I have these 3 address, I can add n number of rows. Now once I add the data, try to understand the example. This is my programming example. This is my DBMS example, that is database management system example. I'll show you the difference between the declaration, their actual use in the implementation. So let it be, as I said, one is student name, student let's say roll number, and student phone number, any particular information. I put that information. यहाँ पे कुछ information हमने insert किया. I'm not going to write it. I just mark it that data. Once I add these 3 record in the database, then I realize there is a need of certain attribute. There is a need of certain attribute, that is student is studied in which class. Either it is in second year, either it is in third year, either in the final year. So I want to insert that information now in this table. This is my simple table which consists of data. अभी मुझे यहाँ पे data insert करना है. Can we insert record at this place now? Directly? No. Because when I insert the 4th record, I can add all the attributes because I have added that attribute. But what about these 3? Is it possible to fill these values? No, it is not possible to fill these values directly because this attribute I created after insertion of these 3 records. This record has been already generated. Now it is not possible to add the record for 1, 2, and 3 because it is already been inserted certain values. So this particular column is get blank 1, 2, 3. So that's why row can be a increase, but column cannot be increased. It is a fixed. We have to define it initially. So when you write an array, no need to mention the row. Row we can add as many as, but the column should be fixed. So if I say 5 columns, now talking about the program, 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now any number of records we can insert for these 5 attributes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I want to change this attribute, then the databases get collapsed. So make sure that this statement is incorrect if I not write the second index. So second index is must. Now I think it is very clear that how we can handle the static checking. So in the static checking also we have to correctly declare or write the variables that I have to use in the program. Or if you not get this example, then I'll give one more example related to a programming. Let it be if I am working on the array itself, it's a 2-dimensional array, and let's say I read the one matrix from user. Very simple example, this one, integer a, and I don't mention the size. I'm not mention the size. And now I have to read this size of array from user, 3 by 5. I can easily read this 3 by 5. I can print this data, 3 number of rows, 5 number of columns. Next time, when I again read the data, I'll take a different input. 5 number of column and 1000 number of rows. Sorry, 1000 number of columns. 5 number of rows, 1000 number of columns. So can we store this information as an integer type of array? Now it is difficult. So when the sizes get large, the number of element sizes get large, it is not possible to store that data. So this is called as a static checking that we have to handle when you write the code. This is one example for an integer type of array. Now these are the advantages. Allow the checking program error without running the code. So it allow the program errors without running the code. So we won't need to run the code. We can immediately get the error that has been traced out in the declaration. So if I make any mistake in the declaration, it is get easily notified by the compiler because that are the defined words inside it. These are the common. It is been quick, reliable, and automatic. So basic thing is that you need to understand this philosophy. So any doubt you can ask your doubt. Now what is the disadvantage? For every particular project or particular application, particular compiler and interpreter, it's have their disadvantage as well. So what are the disadvantages? So the very first advantage, I'll take this example. Now if I not mention the row, so it is the dynamically add the number of rows. As soon as user want to insert 100 rows, it can be increased. If a user want to insert 200 rows, it will be increased. So it will increase the time complexity. So you can see increase compile time overhead. So we cannot restrict that user how many records he can insert. He can insert 100 record, 200 record, 500 record. So the compile time is depend on the what type of input we have to provide. We will provide to the program or to the application. So that is the first disadvantage. It will increase the compile time. Second disadvantage, it does not unaverage error that manifest at runtime. So let it be if I not write this. So can program give an error? No, program will not give any kind of error. So it should be notified that user to restrict for the number of records. But as a design of compiler, it is not been given that we have to mention the number of rows. So number of rows can be increased according to the user input. So that is the second disadvantage. And the example is given. So already we considered one example for an array. Now dynamic checking. This is very important aspect as far as your theory practical as well as online examination is concerned. Practical examination related to data structure, theory subject PPL, and as well the MCQ for these in same examination. So dynamic checking is a very important aspect in a programming language. So why it is very important aspect? Just a minute. I just stop sharing. I just rejoin the session. Wait a minute. Okay, fine. So I just reconnect due to power failure. Okay, fine. So share my screen. So it's visible now. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is an important aspect, dynamic checking. Dynamic checking is very important as far as theory practical and your instant MCQ exam is concerned. In a dynamic checking, we have to check the data content dynamically. Now, dynamically means we cannot check the content one by one, or if I say the array of size, let's say A of 10, and we cannot see the content dynamically, it means at the time of execution. So if you want to see the content, I have to debug the code, I have to watch the code, whether that variable has a certain value inside or not. That is one of the way that we can check the content of the particular data set. I'll give very simple example to understand dynamic checking. This is my array. Array of certain size. Let's say 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the indices. Everyone is agree with me. These are the indices that we can use. So let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. 45 and 50. So these 5 elements are stored inside the array. Now we have to check the dynamic binding of this array. We know that array is a static type of declaration, that is A of 5. How I can print the data of array by using index? Everyone agree with me? Index start from 0 and it will end at the 4. This is general flow to execute an array program. So if I want to print the first content of the array, what I need to write? A of 0. Can I write the statement printf percent, or let's say percent unsigned address, that is u, and let's say A of 0. So will it print the address? Yes or no? It will print the address of which is the index A of 0. So can we use this address for any kind of operation? Can we use this address for any kind of operation? अभी तक आप लोगों ने यूज किया इस एड्रेस का कहीं पे? नहीं किया होगा. Yes or no?
No, sir.
We are interested in values. हम लोग क्या करते हैं? 10, 20, 30, 40. This is the data stored inside the array. And we can access the data with the help of index. So हम क्या करते हैं? Particular for loop लगा के वो index से data print करते हैं. But we are not concerned about this addresses. What are the address at this location? So if I say address of this location is, let's say f 4 times f, because it's hexadecimal value. So for understanding purpose, I write 100 over here. Let's say genuine address is FFF. So I'm not going to use this address. In a dynamic checking, if this address is not free, if this address is having certain value, instead of considering 100 now, consider this FFF. If this location is already been assigned to some other data member, other data value. So we won't get this value because already data is there, certain data is there, and let's say previous data was X. This X data is there, and now I'm forcefully putting the 10, which is not possible to insert that in that location because overwriting is not allowed in a compiler. If the data is not free, it will go for the next free location. You study this aspect in your next year subject, that is operating system. So you'll see the many aspects of the operating system, how that data has been reloaded if already data is there in the memory. So I cannot place this 10 because X is already there in that address. So there is a need of dynamic checking. There is a need of dynamic checking. In a dynamic checking, we have to use whether that location is free or not. If it is not free, try to find out the free location, and then onwards it start allocating the memory address to that element. That is the important aspect of dynamic checking. We will see this, how the element has been placed in the next index and so on. It is also the part of hashing data structure. In that we will cover how this data has been placed if the memory location is already full. There is a certain way to add this 10 in the consecutive memory location, because after all our compiler, our memory, or we can say the hard disk, is like a one-dimensional array. If I unfold it, it look like a one-dimensional array, and in that there are many free locations are there. We have to identify a free location. Or you can take an example of your computer. Let's say different drives are there. Each drive is having certain memory space. Let's say 100 GB. Out of that, if I use a 20 GB of each drive, the remaining space is there. So can I allocate again that use space to add a new program? No. It will find the space which is empty. If the space is not find empty, the operating system will give you a message that you cannot copy that data on this particular drive because it is already full. So that type of concern is come under the dynamic checking. So forcefully we cannot place the data again, or we cannot overwrite the data. In that case, we have to dynamically check the data. So how it is being processed in a compiler. So we cannot deal with these addresses. So who will take care of this dynamic checking? It is a complete whole and sole responsibility of the compiler. So checking is done at the runtime. So it has been done at the runtime. So at runtime, we cannot modify the program. So it is a responsibility of the compiler to check the vacant space and according to that, place the data. So our role is over in a such case. But if forcefully I am putting the data, then dynamic checking will give an error. As I said in the practical session, we have to mention root is equal to null. We have to mention start point is equal to null forcefully, because I have to start it from null. I have to start it from a very basic address, that is 100, or we can say initially 0000. Now, it gives the more flexibility as the program is designed. As we already know that there are two types, static and dynamic. Linear data structure is having so many disadvantages, while non-linear data structure is having very less disadvantage. That's why dynamic checking is always a good option. In a dynamic checking, there are two more important aspects. That is the pointer is used, memory address is used, and the memory management is also used in a dynamic checking. Disadvantage, difficult to dig up. Why? Because a runtime memory is allocated, so we cannot trace it out at what point it has been used or at what point data is being stored. No hardware support, so this is not related to our subject, it is related to the embedded system. So this advantage is related to the embedded system. So extra storage requirement is required, because if I want to place these two variable, one more memory space is required to store the data. So this is all about the dynamic checking disadvantage and advantages. Now coming towards the stock checking. Everyone understand what is the static checking and dynamic checking now?
Yes, sir.
Now, as per my experience, I'll give one example here. What the student make a mistake in this subject? Static type checking and dynamic type checking. This topic is common for all the subject. You can find this topic in object-oriented programming. You can find this topic in data structure. You can find this topic in microprocessor. You can find this topic in PPL as well. Not only in the software engineering. All the remaining subject is having this topic. So student is always taking the reference of all the subject and put it into this PPL. So don't do that. Generally this happen because this is very generalized subject, principle of programming languages. You can write as per your knowledge. It is not a recommendation that you can use a simple any one programming language like C++, Java, Python. Here you have freedom to write any programming language in a generalized way. But when you student write the answers in examination, that time they write by considering very specific programming language. Again, I said do not use any programming name while writing the answer. अभी मैंने यहाँ पे कहीं पे यूज नहीं किया कि हम यहाँ पे कौन सा प्रोग्रामिंग यूज कर रहे हैं. This is true. This is only a statement printf. No need to write a printf. No need to write this statement. You can write this example generally, but do not mention the programming name anywhere, which is not expected. So in dynamic checking, many students write dynamic checking is used for memory management. Malloc, alloc, realloc are the function. ऐसे कुछ लोग लिखते हैं. Many students write memory management is used for dynamic checking. New is a keyword used for dynamic checking. Many students write in terms of Java programming. This dynamic checking is used to provide many aspects in Java programming like inheritance, polymorphism. So don't do that. Don't write a language specific. Write a generalized term. जैसे मैं आपके साथ ये कंटेंट शेयर करूंगा, along with that some study material is also there. That also I'm going to share with you in the Google Classroom. So in one communication you will get all the details of all the subjects. वो आज हम देखेंगे तो. So now strong typing. So this is a next topic, strong typing. So strong typing is not the data type that we have to efficiently use, but whatever the data we use, that should not give any kind of error. So whenever you write any data type, that data type is surely accept that data. So for example, if I write integer, everyone know the size of integer. If I write the character, everyone know the size of character. Then and then use that data type. Otherwise, you cannot use that data type. If I'm using that data type, if you won't store the data, then it is very difficult. Now, what is the confusion? I just again give you an example here. Now, a very simple example we will take for an integer as well as character. We मैंने एक variable declare किया यहाँ पे integer, let's say x. Simple variable integer x. Integer required, let's say 2 byte. We will consider a simple example. Integer required 2 bytes. And let's say the location is 10 and 11. These 2 bytes are there. 1 byte required how many bits? 8 bits. So this is complete 8 bits. तो यहाँ पे हमारे 8 बिट होंगे 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. इन दैट हाफ पार्ट इज पता है किसी को? आप उसको AH AL ऐसे कुछ बोलते होंगे माइक्रो प्रोसेसर के लैंग्वेज में. यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
तो यहाँ पे कुछ ऐसे AH. दिस इज नॉट रिलेटेड टू आवर सब्जेक्ट, सो आफ्टर दिस नो नीड टू वरी. यहाँ तक ही हमें देखना है. सो आई हैव रिक्वायर्ड 2 bytes फॉर अ x variable. So this is my variable x will require 2 bytes. So ये कहाँ पे स्टोर होगा? यहाँ पे स्टोर होगा, फिर यहाँ पे स्टोर होगा, या फिर कहाँ पे स्टोर होगा, एक वैल्यू उसको हम असाइन करेंगे। लेट्स से मैंने उसको असाइन किया 100 भी नहीं, एक छोटा वैल्यू हम उसको असाइन करते हैं, 9, वेरी स्मॉल वैल्यू 9। तो वो 9 यहाँ पे स्टोर होगा, फिर यहाँ पे होगा, यहाँ पे कोई बता सकता है वो कहाँ पे स्टोर होगा? अभी तक हमने उसका यूज किया है कि जस्ट आई राइट x इक्वल टू 9, लेकिन उसको 2 बाइट्स रखते हुए हमें पता है दिस 10 एंड 11 2 बाइट्स आर रिक्वायर्ड। वो उसके अंदर कहाँ पे स्टोर होगा, कोई बता सकता है? हम बता सकते हैं क्या एज अ प्रोग्रामर? we cannot know this thing about at what location it will be stored, but in a compiler the responsibility of a compiler to store that particular value x equal to 9 inside this 2 byte. So 2 bytes are required to store this data. So it may possible that the length of that information or length of that value is occupied within the 8 bit as well. ऐसे भी हो सकता है 8 बिट में ही वो पॉसिबल हो जाएगा। इसका कन्वर्जन किस में होगा? बाइनरी में। So what is the value of binary? 9. It is like 1
001.
001. Yeah. So it will be stored like this 1001. What about these remaining spaces? Now it is vacant. So can we use these vacant spaces for other variable? Let's say I'll again declare integer y. See the difference of type checking, also strong type checking. Now I write y equal to 7. What will happen again? One of the variable is created with 2 byte. Let's say 12 and 13, because I just declare one more type integer 12 and 13. Same thing is get happen. Again there is an 8 bit conversion. 7 is stored, 0 111 likewise, and it will be stored at this particular location. So what about this particular bits are remaining? Can we use that bit? We cannot use that bit because we again write x equal to 9 and y equal to 7 separately. What I'll do, if I write x equal to 9 and y equal to 7, now this remaining bits can be used for this 7 when I write a single string, because this is a size of the data type. It is not a size of this variable, it is a size of data type. और स्टूडेंट का यही पे कंफ्यूजन होता है, अगर इस प्रोग्राम का साइज निकालोगे आप तो 4 बाइट आएगा, अगर इसको आता देगा तो 2 ही बाइट आएगा, इट विल नॉट टेक अ 6 बाइट। लेकिन स्टूडेंट लिखते 2 + 2 + 2 6 बाइट, सो इट इज नॉट अ 6 बाइट, it is a size of data type. It will require 2 byte, it will require 2 byte. I can write many variables for a simple variable. If I use the array, then the script is get changed. Then the script will require the size of array, and that number of element we have to process. So this is called as a strong type checking. जो भी वेरिएबल हम लिखने वाले हैं उसको वैल्यू असाइन होना चाहिए और वो वैल्यू उस वेरिएबल के अंदर स्टोर होना चाहिए। अगर मैं यहाँ पे कुछ यहाँ पे कुछ ऐसा एक वेरिएबल हम लिख दे, I just remove this, and instead of that I put the value 90 90 90 90 2 4 6 8 and 1 more 10. Now this is a complete mobile number 90909090. 10 digits are there. Now the size of integer can hold maximum 8 bit, and this is 10 bit information. So definitely looking at the information, it is cannot be possible to place that information in an integer data type. So we require a double, that is a 16 bit size is there. So sizes get doubled. That's why we cannot use integers to store this number. In such a case, strong typing is very important. So cannot write x as a mobile number. So such a type of data type you have to declare correctly. If you not correctly declare that data type, then you cannot find out the error. It will not give any kind of error to you. You can type this code, you can execute in C++, you can execute in Java, you can execute in C programming. You will not get any programmatically error. But when you execute, it will display that the size of the data type is overflow, and that is not come under the any particular error. So in a programming language guarantee, do not generate any type error. So this type of safety that we have to use in the data type. And one more important thing, this is only for building data types are used. We cannot use this for customized data type. We cannot use for abstract data type. This can be used only for your inbuilt data type like integer, character, float, double, unsigned integer, signed integer, short integer. For that only we can use this particular strong type checking. एक एग्जांपल तो सबको समझ गया होगा अभी कैसे यूज करना है इंटीजर का। अगर कैरेक्टर का भी आपको देखना है तो कैरेक्टर का लेट से आपको साइज अगर पता होगा तो इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग इट्स -127 टू 255, ये उसका साइज है। लेट्स से 256, start from 0 it's a 255. So within that range we can store the element. So this is the ASCII value for that character, and we can store that value in terms of bit. So if I not use the proper way for a character, then it won't store the data. So it stores the data in the format of string. So these two examples are there for type checking. So hope you understand this strong type checking, how we are going to handle this strong type checking. एक क्वेश्चन आपके लिए यहीं पे भी मैं क्लियर कर देता हूँ। प्रोग्रामिंग में हम ऐसे लिख सकते हैं, जस्ट 1000 इज इक्वल टू, ये स्टेटमेंट वैलिड है क्या?
नो सर,
इट्स नॉट वैलिड। तो ये भी स्ट्रॉन्ग टाइप चेकिंग के अंदर एक आता है एग्जांपल, तो भी आप दे सकते हो। Why it is not possible? A cannot be stored in this because this is a number. This is not a variable. This is a number, and this is the variable. We cannot store the number. Sorry, we cannot store the variable in number. So this also the one of the example of strong type checking. तो ये भी आप लोग नहीं कर सकते। इस तरीके से आप 2-3 एग्जांपल देके वहाँ पे एलॉबरेट कर सकते हो व्हाट इज एग्जैक्टली द स्ट्रॉन्ग टाइप चेकिंग। और भी बहुत सारे एग्जांपल है। यहाँ पे हमने जो दो कंसिडर किए, इट इज रिलेटेड टू अगेन बेसिक इनबिल्ट डेटा टाइप्स। और अगर हमें यहाँ पे एग्जांपल देखना है, अगर अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं हुआ होगा तो और एक एग्जांपल हम ले सकते हैं, फ्लोट का एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं। Float is a data type. Yes, it is a data type. So it will store a value. Let's say, sorry, float is a variable. Let's say x is my float variable, which will store this value 33.33 or 33.35. This is the value that I can store inside the float. So again, there is a specific requirement for a float is required a 4 byte instead of 2 bytes. So it get divided into 2 bytes. Half part will store this decimal, and this is the value which we can hold inside it. So 2 byte is separately allocated for that. So if I increase the length of this bit, then it is very difficult to use this float numbers. So in such a case, we have to use unsigned integer so that it can be properly stored. So such a type of example comes under the strong type checking. You can go through this. This is just a theoretical part. I'm just not going to read this all theoretical part. I'll explain with the help of example every time. So example is not here. You can note it down at your end, or if you find any difficulty once you get this PPT, you can directly ask to me. I'll again explain that particular topic to you. उसके advantages, disadvantages, example. So already we discussed that examples. Now weak typing and corrosion. So what is the weak typing? अभी तो हमने strong typing सीख लिया है, अभी हमको देखना है एक weak typing के examples। तो यही पे example शायद से ही वही डिस्कस करेंगे। यहाँ पे example है तो वही डायरेक्टली example डिस्कस करेंगे, other than typing के example होना था। जैसे हमने strong typing चेक किया था, वैसे भी weak typing। तो ये strong typing and weak typing is not a type of programmer, is not a type of programming language, is not a type of compiler. It's a type of mistake that the programmer made at the time of declaration of variable that is of inbuilt data type. So you can see this example: x equal to 1, y equal to 2.0, x plus y. Now what will happen? X is of type integer, y is of type float. So what we are doing here, we are doing two different data types we are merging. But what are the outcome we'll get, that we cannot define whether it is of type integer, whether it is of type float type. So in such a type of outcome, it is called as a weak typing. User write the complete program correctly without any kind of errors are there. So what are the programmatically statements are correct. Declaration is correct, assignment is correct, operations, that is arithmetic operation is correct. But what are the result we'll get? Whether we'll get a float value or whether we'll get an integer value. Certain value we'll get. let's say I'll get a float value 3.0 for x plus y because I have higher precedence of the float. So if I get a float 3.0 and if I don't want 3.0, I want an integer value, then will I get that? No, I will not get that value. So in such a case, we have to do the type casting. We have to convert one type of data into other type of data. But it is again a burden on a program to perform that operation. So such a case is called as a weak typing case. So you understand this is very example. One more example, x equal to 1 integer value, y equal to 2, but 2 is not a number. It's again a let's say character. Instead of number, it's let's say character. So यहाँ पे हम instead of that we will use let's say GTSL. Now this is two different type of data. One is of type integer, other is type of character, or we can say string. And if I merge these two data, I'll not get the result because one is of type integer, other is type of character. So two different type of data casting is not possible in any programming language. It is not possible in C, it is not possible in C++, Java, Python, .NET, any programming language. It is not possible at any case. If I want to do that, then definitely we have to do a type casting. In a type casting, it is possible to convert one form of the data into other form. But generally, it is not directly converted by the compiler. So when I write the statement, compiler automatically cannot convert this information into one particular data type that I want. So such a type of mistake is called as a weak typing. So kindly avoid this weak typing in the programming so that we will not get any kind of errors while execution of the program. So in the last semester, give an assignment of let's say sorting. In the sorting, what we have to sort? The percentage of the students. So that time many students make this mistake. In the previous semester, when we have to write a program to sort your student marks, roll number is there and their marks percentage is there. So 34.5, 64.5, certain values. And that float numbers we have to sort. Many students able to sort integer type of information, but they won't sort the float type of information. Because of what are the input they consider that is of type integer, and they are trying to sort the data which is of type float. That's why they aren't able to sort the information in terms of float numbers. So kindly avoid such a kind of things while we write the code. Generally, ये mistake कोई नहीं करता, but ये mistake बहुत students करते हैं. Not only students, many programmers make this mistake in the weak typing. So hope it is very clear, strong typing and weak typing. किसी को कुछ डाउट्स है यहाँ तक? Hello. Yes, any doubt up to this point? So, I'm audible to you?
Yes, sir.
तो कोई किसी को डाउट है अब तक के डिस्कशन में?
No, sir.
And kindly participate in the lecture as well so that we faculty as should know about whether you are getting or not. We give the proper input to you. अगर किसी को नहीं समझ रहा तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हो. Don't be hesitate to ask the question because these are all fundamental things are required in the next year, also in the final year, because the second year is based for all the subjects of engineering. So if you're not getting the things in the second year, it is very difficult to get the first class is not if it is very difficult to get the placement in the final year as well. So concentrate on the second year subject properly. अगर किसी को नहीं समझ रहे हैं आप लोग पूछ सकते हो. एक पर्टिकुलर डाउट्स होगा आपको वो भी आप लोग क्लियर कर सकते हो रिलेटेड टू एनी पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक. नाउ नेक्स्ट वन इज टाइप कैपेबिलिटी. सो ये आप लोगों ने पहले से स्टडी किया हुआ है पाइथन में या फिर C++ में. यहाँ पे स्ट्रक्चर एंड नेम. सो यहाँ पे एग्जांपल होगा ही, वो एग्जांपल पे हमने लेट इट बी दिस इज एन एग्जांपल. So forgot about the programming language. We don't know programming language. Which programming language is this? We have this code, and we have to check whether this code is correct, whether we'll get any kind of error over here, or we need to modify certain things. So आप लोग भी एक बार program देखो. S1 is a structure, S2 is a structure, S3 is a structure. which consists of certain variables. Then S3 function S1 Z कमा होगा यार कमा Z. ठीक है, एक बार आप लोग प्रोग्राम देख लो, फिर मैं इसको आपको एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ कैसे वर्कआउट होगा. जस्ट गो थ्रू द प्रोग्राम एवरीवन. 3 डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर है. So if you go through the program, now I'll explain this complete program with the help of example. ठीक है, वही एग्जाम्पल को जो प्रोग्रामेटिकली दिया है उसको अभी हम प्रोग्रामेटिकली सॉल्व करेंगे. सॉरी, प्रोग्राम एग्जाम्पल अभी हम ग्राफिकली सॉल्व करेंगे. सॉरी. So initially I just consider this part. S1 is a structure which is given. S2 is a structure which is given. S3 is a structure which is also given. Each structure consists of certain members that may be of type integer, that may be of type character, that may be of type some other, but here only integers are given. So S1 is having 2 integer type of variable, that is y and w. Y and w. This is pipe operator that will differentiate. That will be differentiate these two values. So y and w are part of structure S1. Try to understand now very properly this. I'll show you this concept through the graphical way. So S2 is a structure which consists of 2 variables, y and w, which is of type integer. So still it is everything related to numbers. So if it is any other data type, then we'll have to write it. But I think it's all type of integer, so I'm not going to write integer. And S3 is a structure which consists of only one type of information, which is of type integer. So all type of data is consist of integer information. So numeric type of data is used in the complete structure. So this half part is complete. Now we'll come back to the function. So there is a function S3 function. So meaning is that this is belongs to this function for structure S3. So function. So I just write only F function with 2 operators. One is S1 and other is Z. So now we have a function S1 comma Z under the S3. Up to this point, I think there is no doubt. It is very clear and straightforward. After this, they create the instance of the structure. They create instance of the structure. So S1 is a structure and there are 2 instances. They have been created, A and X. So all the data related to S1 is treated with this 2 variable. It will be treated this 2 variable. Then coming towards the second structure S2 is having 2 instances. One is B and other is S3. And there is no any, I think it is given. So let's say C colon, just a minute. Certain line of code is there. So only C is been written, semicolon. So this statement is on the very next line. तो ये हो गया, दिया हुआ इनपुट. तो ये कुछ उन्होंने लाइन ऑफ कोड दिया हुआ है इंटीजर. उसके बाद अभी आउटकम्स दिए कुछ प्रोग्राम के, लाइन नंबर 1, लाइन नंबर 2, लाइन नंबर 3, लाइन नंबर 4. So we have to check whether they will able to solve the structure problem or not. They will able to solve this type capability in the structure or not. That we have to identify. So whenever we have to write a structure, how we are going to write this structure? तो अभी आपको बेसिक फिलोसॉफी पता होना चाहिए कि व्हाट इज ए स्ट्रक्चर, व्हाई वी नीड अ स्ट्रक्चर, और उसको हम किस तरीके से ऑपरेट करते हैं. सो स्ट्रक्चर इज बेसिकली अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ different data types. We can merge different kind of data in a single capsule. So S1 is a structure which consists of different data types, but here is only integer data type is given. certain instances are given. Instances are also called as an object. They can able to initialize the member. They can initialize the data members and data function. So S1 is having two instances, A and X. S2 is having two instances, but this is an illegal. वो तो हम बाद में देखेंगे इधर. This is illegal. Why it is illegal? S3 हाँ यहाँ पे illegal नहीं होगा, वो हमसे ही mistake हुआ. Yes, यहाँ पे semicolon. Yes. Sorry. There is a semicolon after B, so this is on the very next line. तो इसको remove करना होगा. Sorry, it's my mistake. Not able to do it correct. तो इसको मैं अगले लाइन पे लूँ. Okay, it's my mistake because semicolon is there. So that's why S3 is equal to variable is C. Again, there is a semicolon, and then D is a variable. So this is the structure which is given. So now structure S1 having an instance S1 AX. So two objects for this S1. One object is for S2. One object is for S3, and one of the simple variable integer D, which is not a type of this any kind of a data structure. We can say S1, S2, S3 is not belongs to this structure D. तो अभी एक स्टेटमेंट यहाँ पे A equal to B. A equal to B. तो ये स्टेटमेंट करेक्ट है या नहीं, कोई बताएगा? Anyone know whether it is correct or incorrect? ठीक है, यही तक ही खत्म करना है आज का. तो आप लोग आंसर्स बताओ. मैंने लिंक शेयर किया, आपको मिल गया है सबको या नहीं मिला आज का लिंक? अटेंडेंस लिंक शेयर किया वो है कि सबके पास?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ओके फाइन. सो नो नीड टू कॉपी अगेन. उसके बाद अभी ये की स्टेटमेंट हमें देखना है. हाँ, तो इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन है. फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज A equal to B अ स्टेटमेंट. स्ट्रक्चर में हम लोग इनहेरिटेंस यूज नहीं कर सकते जैसे क्लास में यूज करते हैं. वन मेंबर कैन एक्सेस द डेटा ऑफ अदर क्लास. वन क्लास कैन एक्सटेंड विद मेनी क्लासेस. मेनी क्लास एक्सेस द डेटा ऑफ वन क्लास. Likewise, but in a structure it is not possible to access the instance of this structure into this structure. So the first statement is very illegal because S1 is an instance of A and B is an instance of S2. So this is the object of S2 and this is the object of S1, and we cannot integrate this information because we don't have an access of inheritance in a structure. So that's why this statement is very incorrect in a structure. So in this kind of format or this kind of instance, we cannot write in front of the structure. Clear? Up to this point, we understand what is a structure, how to initiate the structure, and how we cannot write the declaration statement like an assignment one. So A is equal to B we cannot write because it is generally store the one instance value in other instance, but both the instances belongs to different type of structure. So I think no difficulty up to this point. किसी को होगा, you can ask your doubts. So now we will stop this session and we will continue the session with the Google Classroom. किसी को कुछ डाउट है अभी तक के डिस्कशन में?
No, sir.
So now we will discuss the important things are about your Google Classroom. So don't leave the session. Those who are leave, just ask them to rejoin the session.
सर अटेंडन्स लिंक परत सेंड करा ना.
इथे चेक करा ना. हेलो पाटिल मैम.
Yes, sir.
हाँ मैम, करायचं का स्टार्ट?
हो.
So good morning to one and all. We will discuss about how you can access your all the study material in a single place or at a one place where you can get the details of all the subjects through the Google Classroom. So this session is just to provide the awareness about how to use the Google Classroom and how we can access the data, as well as how you can post your assignments for a grading purpose. So all the submissions of your assignment is through the Google Classroom. Without that, we not accept your any submission. So all the students follow now Google Classroom here onwards. So I'll explain from both the point of view how we are going to give the data, as well as how you can access the data as a student point of view. So already we create one account for our class, that is SC Computer 2021, and having there is a Google Classroom. So these are the different subjects and their names. Each subject contains some assignments, some study material. You people can access that information. So as a faculty, we create a class. Already ma'am created all the classes of the subjects: code of conduct, project based learning, PPL, data structure, microprocessors, all the subject of your second semester. So if some faculty want to create a new class, they can just click on this plus tab and create the class by putting the name of the class, section, class, and room number. And we can get the details of all the classes over here. Now, if I go into one particular class, let's say if I go into the PPL second year, through this code, student can join. So this is the code for the subject PPL SE. This is one of the way that student can join, or I'll share one link with you. From that link also you can join this Google Classroom of subject PPL. So every student have to join the each and every subject code, or we can say the class, or the faculty will share invitation to the student section. So I just have to add the email ID of the particular student, or if I share this link to all the students, then I can able to add all the students in the Google Classroom. So once I add all the students in a Google Classroom, then we can share the data. So if I just remove myself its personal account, if I add again that account as a student invitation. So if I invite the students, let's say this is my personal mail ID. If I invite, I'll be notified through the mail that invitation. So I'll show you that a student section now. So if I just open the student panel, so let's say student login, this is my student login, where I'll get the notification about that AC computer class. It will be get notified me. Just a minute. So I won't get a, but you will get the notification immediately to join that class. I think I already joined this class, that's why there is no notification for me. But as a new user, you will get be notified once faculty send the invitation. So now you have to go into the Google Classroom. Okay, once you get into the Google Classroom, then there are many things for students access the information. Like you can access the notes, you can access the assignment, you can access the some. I think there is no mail received. Just a minute. There are two mails are there for invitation. So I can join the invitation as a student. So you people have to join the class. So this is SC computer class where you can access all the study material, but individually you have to join for all the subjects. So you have to join, click on the join for every subject. Once you join as a student, answers. Click on join again. Okay, now invitation is not found. I'll again invite it. इसको भी हम डिलीट कर देते हैं फ्रेश एक बार. Now we will check for the invitation. This is the new invitation. Sure. So this is the class that I joined as a student. So this is my student portal and this is the faculty portal. So if faculty want to share a certain information to the students, so go into the announcement section and faculty can share the information. Let's say the session is cancelled. We want to share this information to the students. So from here we can select the subject as a faculty, and also if I want to share the information for only specific students, so I have to select only those students that I want to share the information, like a tutor meeting, or I can share certain notification of the account section. Through that we can share. So just I can save the draft, or I can schedule this particular post, or immediately I can post it. So these are three options are there: post, schedule, and draft. So once I post this link, student can able to see this notification along with their mail. So go to the student section again. In the student section you can find that notification. Just refresh. You can find today's session is cancelled. This notification is in my Google Classroom as well as through the mail also. It is been notified to me. So it will take some time to get the mail, but through the mail also it is get notified to you. User can send the personal message to that faculty as well through this chatting section. So student can revert back with any certain message. Let's say okay, and that message will be delivered to that respective faculty. So once the student, this is Google Portal, as a student can send this message to the faculty. So in the faculty portal, we can see that what are the messages received from the students, any doubts or difficulties are related to that notice, we can able to see your messages. So you can see that messages, and we can again revert back to that student with the acknowledgement, or we can send some update related to that particular post. So this is one of the things that the notifications can be sent, and student will get the notification in their account as well as through their mail notification. You can find this new announcement: today's session is cancelled. So every particular activity is notified through the mail as well as it is been recorded in your Google Classroom. That is the first part. Second part, in a classwork, faculty can share the assignment. Already I shared some data over here. I show you again fresh thing. Let's say faculty can create an assignment, quiz assignment, a question bank, material, or a particular topic. So every faculty have to create a topic unit wise. So you have to create the unit number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Under that topic, we can upload a study material. So for example, I want to upload certain study material in PPL unit number 1. So you have to first create a new topic. Already I create this topic PPL unit 1, and under that I want to share the certain study material. So just have to click on this